What if the key to understanding humanity's deepest fears and desires lies in the rituals of our ancestors? From the blood-soaked altars of the Aztecs to the sacred fires of the Vestal Virgins, ancient cultures practiced rituals that were as bizarre as they were meaningful. These ceremonies, often shrouded in mystery, reveal a world where the line between life and death, the sacred and the profane, was blurred in ways that might seem unimaginable today. In this video, we'll take you on a journey through time to explore 25 of the most bizarre rituals from ancient cultures. Each one tells a story of belief, survival, and the lengths humans went to connect with the divine. So, if you're ready to uncover the strange and fascinating traditions that shaped civilizations, stay tuned. This is a journey you won't want to miss. Now turning to the ancient Mayans, we find a ritual that combines sport, religion, and sacrifice in a way that might seem unimaginable today. The Mayan ball game, known as Pok-a-Tok, was far more than just a game. It was a sacred event deeply tied to their religious beliefs, where the stakes were life and death. The game was played on a large stone court, often shaped like an eye, with two teams competing to keep a heavy rubber ball in play using only their hips, elbows, and knees. The goal was to pass the ball through a stone hoop mounted high on the court walls, a feat so difficult that it was considered a divine achievement. But the true significance of Pok-a-Tok lay in its connection to the gods. The losing team, and sometimes even the winning team, would be sacrificed to honor the deities, ensuring the balance of the cosmos and the continuation of life itself. In some versions of the game, human skulls were even used as balls, adding a chilling layer to this already gruesome ritual. The ball court itself was considered a sacred space, a portal between the human world and the divine. For the Mayans, this game was not just entertainment, it was a matter of survival, a way to appease the gods and maintain the order of the universe. This ritual, both brutal and fascinating, offers a glimpse into a world where sport and sacrifice were intertwined in ways that challenge our modern understanding of competition and spirituality. Now turning to ancient Egypt, we encounter a ritual that reveals the profound importance the Egyptians placed on the afterlife. The opening of the mouth ceremony was a sacred practice performed on mummies to ensure the deceased could eat, drink, and breathe in the next world. This ritual was not just a formality, it was a vital step in the soul's journey to eternity. Priests, acting as intermediaries between the living and the dead, used special tools like the adze, a blade-shaped instrument, and the pesesh kef, a forked knife, to perform symbolic gestures. These tools were believed to restore the senses of the deceased, allowing them to function in the afterlife. The ceremony itself was elaborate, involving chants, offerings, and the anointing of the mummy with oils and incense. The Egyptians believed that without this ritual, the soul would be trapped, unable to enjoy the pleasures of the afterlife or reunite with the gods. The preparation for the opening of the mouth ceremony began long before death, with the construction of tombs and the gathering of offerings to sustain the deceased in the afterlife. For the Egyptians, this ritual was not just about honoring the dead, it was about ensuring their eternal survival. The opening of the mouth ceremony offers a fascinating glimpse into a culture that saw death not as an end, but as a transition to a new and everlasting existence. Now turning to the fierce world of the Vikings, we encounter one of the most brutal and debated rituals in ancient history, the Blood Eagle. This gruesome method of execution and sacrifice was said to be reserved for the most despised enemies or those who had committed grave offenses. The process was horrifyingly precise. The victim's back was cut open, their ribs were severed from the spine and pulled outward to resemble the wings of an eagle, and their lungs were extracted and draped over the wings. The sight of the victim's lungs expanding and contracting as they struggled to breathe was believed to mimic the flapping of an eagle's wings, giving the ritual its chilling name. Historians have long debated whether the Blood Eagle was a real practice or a myth perpetuated by Viking sagas and later medieval writers. Some argue that the ritual was exaggerated or invented to portray the Vikings as barbaric, while others point to archaeological evidence and historical accounts that suggest it may have been performed, albeit rarely. Regardless of its historical accuracy, the Blood Eagle holds deep symbolic meaning in Viking culture. It was closely tied to Odin, the god of war, wisdom, and death, who was often associated with eagles and ravens. By performing this ritual, the Vikings may have sought to honor Odin, offering the victim's suffering as a sacrifice to gain his favor in battle or to ensure victory. The Blood Eagle also reflects the Viking worldview, where honor, vengeance, and the favor of the gods were paramount. It was not just a method of execution, it was a statement of power, a warning to enemies, and a sacred act of devotion. While the ritual's brutality shocks modern sensibilities, it offers a stark reminder of the values and beliefs that shaped Viking society. As we move forward, we'll explore another ancient culture and the rituals that defined their understanding of life, death, and the divine. Now turning to the vibrant yet terrifying world of the Aztecs, we encounter one of the most infamous rituals in ancient history, the human sacrifices dedicated to their sun god, Huitzilopochtli. The Aztecs believed that the sun required constant nourishment to continue its journey across the sky, and the most potent offering was human blood. This belief led to the practice of large-scale sacrifices, with thousands of victims offered annually during major festivals like the New Fire ceremony, which occurred every 52 years to mark the renewal of the cosmic cycle. The scale of these sacrifices was staggering. Historical accounts and archaeological evidence suggest that during the dedication of the Great Temple of Tenochtitlan in the year 1487, as many as 20,000 people may have been sacrificed over the course of 4 days. Victims were often prisoners of war, captured in battles specifically waged for this purpose, or individuals chosen from within Aztec society. The rituals were meticulously planned and executed by priests who held immense power and were seen as intermediaries between the gods and humanity. The most common method of sacrifice involved heart extraction. The victim would be laid on a stone altar, and a priest would use an obsidian blade to cut open their chest and remove the still beating heart. This heart was then offered to Huitzilopochtli, while the body was often rolled down the temple steps and disposed of in a ceremonial manner. Warriors played a crucial role in these rituals as they were responsible for capturing victims and ensuring a steady supply of offerings. For the Aztecs, participating in these sacrifices was not only a religious duty but also a source of honor and prestige. The belief in the necessity of these sacrifices was deeply rooted in Aztec cosmology. They saw the universe as a fragile balance that required constant maintenance through human effort and devotion. Without the blood of sacrifices, they feared the sun would cease to rise, plunging the world into eternal darkness. While this practice may seem barbaric by modern standards, it was a profound expression of the Aztecs' commitment to their gods and their understanding of the cosmos. As we move forward, we'll explore another ancient culture and the rituals that reveal their unique worldview and spiritual practices. Now turning to the world of ancient Rome, we encounter the Lupercalia festival, a ritual that was as bizarre as it was significant in Roman culture. Held every year in mid-February, this festival was a wild and raucous celebration dedicated to fertility, purification, and the founding myths of Rome. At its heart were the Luperci, priests who played a central role in the festivities. These men, often young and noble, would gather at the Lupercal, a cave believed to be the very spot where the she-wolf nursed Romulus and Remus, the legendary founders of Rome. The ritual began with the sacrifice of goats and a dog, animals symbolizing fertility and protection. The blood from these sacrifices was then smeared on the foreheads of the Luperci, who would laugh and wipe it off with wool dipped in milk. This act was believed to purify them and prepare them for the next phase of the festival. Stripped naked, the Luperci would then take strips of goat hide and run through the streets of Rome, striking anyone they encountered, particularly women. Far from being seen as an act of aggression, this was believed to promote fertility and ease the pains of childbirth. Women would willingly line up to be struck, hoping to gain the blessings of the gods. The origins of Lupercalia are deeply tied to the founding myth of Rome. The festival honored Faunus, the god of the wild, and Lupercus, a deity associated with shepherds and fertility. It also celebrated the she-wolf who nurtured Romulus and Remus, symbolizing the survival and growth of the Roman people. Over time, the festival evolved, blending elements of purification, fertility rites, and communal celebration. It was a time when social norms were temporarily suspended, and the city came together in a shared expression of vitality and renewal. Interestingly, Lupercalia has a surprising connection to modern Valentine's Day. As Christianity spread across the Roman Empire, many pagan festivals were either banned or repurposed. In the 5th century, Pope Gelasius I replaced Lupercalia with the Feast of Saint Valentine, transforming a wild fertility ritual into a celebration of love and devotion. While the two holidays are vastly different in tone and practice, the echoes of Lupercalia can still be seen in the romantic traditions of February. As we move forward, we'll delve into another ancient ritual that reveals the fascinating and often unexpected ways in which cultures sought to connect with the divine and the natural world. Now turning to the ancient Greeks, we encounter the Eleusinian Mysteries, one of the most secretive and revered rituals of the ancient world. This initiation ceremony, dedicated to the goddesses Demeter and Persephone, was believed to offer participants a blessed afterlife and a deeper understanding of life's mysteries. Held annually in the city of Eleusis near Athens, the ritual attracted people from all walks of life, from slaves to emperors, all seeking spiritual enlightenment and divine favor. The Eleusinian Mysteries were divided into several stages, each designed to purify and prepare the initiates for the ultimate revelation. The process began with a period of fasting and cleansing, symbolizing the shedding of impurities and the readiness to receive sacred knowledge. Initiates would then participate in a solemn procession from Athens to Eleusis, carrying sacred objects and chanting hymns in honor of Demeter and Persephone. This journey mirrored the myth of Demeter's search for her daughter, Persephone, who had been abducted by Hades, the god of the underworld. At the heart of the ritual was the revelation of sacred objects known as the Hieria, which were shown to the initiates in a dramatic and emotionally charged ceremony. The exact nature of these objects remains a mystery, as initiates were sworn to secrecy under penalty of death. Some scholars speculate that the Hieria included symbols of life, death, and rebirth, reflecting the cyclical nature of existence and the promise of renewal. The Eleusinian Mysteries had a profound influence on Greek culture and philosophy. The ritual's emphasis on personal transformation and the hope of a blessed afterlife resonated deeply with participants, offering them a sense of purpose and connection to the divine. Philosophers like Plato and Aristotle referenced the mysteries in their writings, highlighting their significance in shaping Greek thought. Despite the secrecy surrounding the Eleusinian Mysteries, their legacy endures as a testament to humanity's enduring quest for meaning and transcendence. As we continue our exploration of ancient rituals, we'll uncover more fascinating practices that reveal the profound ways in which cultures sought to understand the mysteries of life and death. Now turning to the ancient Celts, we encounter the enigmatic and controversial ritual of the Wicker Man sacrifice. Described by Roman historians such as Julius Caesar, this practice involved the construction of a massive wicker structure, often shaped like a human figure, which was then filled with animals and sometimes even people. The entire structure was set ablaze as an offering to the gods, believed to ensure prosperity, fertility, or victory in battle. The Wicker Man ritual has long been a subject of debate among historians and archaeologists. While Roman accounts paint a vivid picture of this gruesome practice, Some scholars argue that these descriptions may have been exaggerated or even fabricated to portray the Celts as barbaric and uncivilized. The Romans, after all, had a vested interest in justifying their conquest of Celtic territories by depicting their enemies as savage and in need of Roman civilization. Despite the uncertainty surrounding its historical accuracy, the Wicker Man holds significant cultural symbolism. For the Celts, fire was a powerful element, often associated with purification, transformation, and communication with the divine. The act of burning the Wicker Man may have been seen as a way to release the offerings, whether animals or humans, into the spiritual realm, ensuring the favor of the gods. In modern times, the Wicker Man has captured the imagination of popular culture, most notably in the 1973 horror film of the same name. This cinematic depiction, while fictional, has cemented the image of the Wicker Man as a symbol of ancient paganism and ritualistic sacrifice. Its enduring presence in media reflects humanity's fascination with the mysterious and the macabre, as well as our attempts to understand the beliefs and practices of ancient cultures. As we move forward in our exploration of bizarre rituals, the Wicker Man serves as a reminder of how history and myth often intertwine, leaving us to piece together the truths of the past from fragments of evidence and storytelling. Now turning to ancient China, we encounter the deeply entrenched and painful tradition of foot binding, a practice that began in the 10th century and persisted for nearly 1,000 years. This ritual, primarily imposed on young girls, involved the deliberate breaking and binding of their feet to reshape them into a smaller, more desirable form. The process was excruciating, often starting as early as 4 to 7 years old, when the bones were still soft enough to be manipulated. The toes were folded under the sole, and the arch was forcibly bent, creating a foot that was no longer functional but conformed to the cultural ideal of beauty, a tiny, delicate foot known as the lotus foot. The origins of foot binding are often linked to the imperial court, where it was believed to have begun as a way to emulate the grace and elegance of a dancer favored by the emperor. Over time, it became a widespread practice among the upper classes, symbolizing wealth, status, and refinement. Small feet were seen as a mark of femininity and desirability, and women with bound feet were often considered more marriageable. This cultural ideal placed immense pressure on families to subject their daughters to the painful process, as it was seen as a pathway to social mobility and prestige. However, the consequences of foot binding were severe and lifelong. Women with bound feet faced chronic pain, difficulty walking, and a host of health complications, including infections and deformities. Despite these hardships, the practice persisted for centuries, deeply ingrained in Chinese society. It wasn't until the early 20th century, amid growing criticism from reformers and the influence of Western ideas, that foot binding began to decline. By the mid-20th century, the practice had been largely eradicated, though its legacy remains a poignant reminder of the lengths to which societies have gone in pursuit of beauty and social conformity. As we reflect on the Chinese foot binding tradition, it serves as a stark example of how cultural ideals can shape and sometimes harm individual lives. This ritual, though now a relic of the past, offers a window into the complex interplay between beauty, power, and societal expectations in ancient China. Moving forward, we'll explore another fascinating ritual that reveals the diversity and depth of human cultural practices. Now turning to ancient India, we encounter the deeply controversial and tragic ritual of sati, a practice where widows would immolate themselves on their husband's funeral pyre. This ritual, rooted in Hindu tradition, was seen as the ultimate act of devotion and loyalty, with the belief that it brought honor not only to the widow but also to her family and community. The origins of sati are often traced back to the goddess Sati, the first wife of the god Shiva, who is said to have self-immolated in protest of her father's disrespect toward her husband. Her act of sacrifice became a powerful symbol of wifely virtue and devotion, inspiring the ritual that bore her name. The practice of sati was deeply intertwined with societal and religious expectations. Widows in ancient India often faced a life of hardship and social ostracism, as they were considered inauspicious and burdensome. By choosing to perform sati, a widow was seen as fulfilling her duty as a wife, ensuring her husband's spiritual well-being in the afterlife and securing her own place in heaven. However, the decision to perform sati was rarely voluntary. Many women were coerced by family members or societal pressures, with the ritual often glorified as a noble and heroic act. The fear of social disgrace and the promise of eternal honor pushed countless women to this tragic end. The ritual itself was both harrowing and symbolic. The widow, dressed in her wedding attire, would sit or lie on her husband's funeral pyre, often surrounded by chanting priests and onlookers. As the flames consumed the pyre, her sacrifice was seen as a purification of both her soul and her family's reputation. Despite its cultural significance, sati was not universally practiced across India and was more prevalent among certain castes and regions. Over time, the ritual drew increasing criticism, both from within Indian society and from external observers. The turning point came in the 19th century when British colonial authorities, influenced by reformist movements within India, outlawed the practice. Figures like Raja Ram Mohan Roy campaigned tirelessly against sati, arguing that it was a barbaric and inhumane tradition that had no place in a modern society. In 1829, the British East India Company officially banned sati, marking a significant step toward its decline. While isolated incidents continued to occur, the practice was largely eradicated by the early 20th century. The Hindu Sati ritual stands as a stark reminder of the ways in which cultural and religious beliefs can shape, and sometimes endanger, individual lives. It highlights the complex interplay between devotion, societal expectations, and the struggle for reform. As we move forward, we'll explore another ancient ritual that reveals the diversity and depth of human cultural practices. Now turning to the vast plains of North America, we encounter the sacred and deeply spiritual ritual of the sun dance, practiced by many Native American tribes. This ritual, often held during the summer months, was a profound expression of gratitude, renewal, and connection to the spiritual world. The sun dance was not merely a ceremony but a transformative experience, designed to bring participants closer to the divine and ensure the continued balance and prosperity of their communities. The purpose of the sun dance was multifaceted. It served as a way for individuals to seek visions, give thanks to the Creator, and pray for the renewal of life, both for themselves and their people. Participants believed that through their sacrifices and devotion, they could secure blessings for their tribes, such as bountiful harvests, successful hunts, and protection from harm. The ritual was also a powerful act of communal unity, bringing together members of the tribe in a shared spiritual journey. The physical and spiritual challenges of the sun dance were immense. Participants would often fast for several days, abstaining from food and water to purify their bodies and minds. The central element of the ritual was the dance itself, which could last for hours or even days, performed under the scorching sun. In some versions of the sun dance, participants would undergo acts of self-torture, such as piercing their skin and attaching themselves to a central pole with ropes or thongs. These acts were not meant as punishment but as offerings of pain and endurance to the spirits, symbolizing their commitment and sacrifice. The cultural significance of the sun dance cannot be overstated. It was a cornerstone of Native American spirituality, embodying their deep connection to the natural world and the cycles of life. However, the ritual faced severe suppression during the late 19th and early 20th centuries as colonial authorities sought to eradicate native traditions and assimilate indigenous peoples into Euro-American culture. The sun dance was banned, and those who practiced it risked punishment. Despite these challenges, the sun dance experienced a remarkable revival in the mid-20th century as Native American communities fought to reclaim their cultural heritage. Today, the ritual continues to be practiced by many tribes, serving as a powerful symbol of resilience, identity, and spiritual renewal. The sun dance reminds us of the enduring strength of cultural traditions and the profound ways in which they shape and sustain communities. As we move forward, we'll explore another ancient ritual that reveals the rich tapestry of human cultural practices. Now turning to feudal Japan, we encounter the ritual of seppuku, also known as harakiri, a form of honorable suicide practiced by samurai. This ritual was deeply rooted in the values of loyalty, honor, and discipline that define the samurai code or bushido. Seppuku was not merely an act of death but a highly ceremonial and symbolic practice designed to restore honor to the individual and their family. The process of seppuku was both gruesome and meticulously structured. The samurai would kneel in a formal position, often on a white cloth to symbolize purity, and use a short sword or tanto to disembowel themselves. This act was believed to demonstrate their courage, resolve, and willingness to take responsibility for their actions. To ensure a swift and honorable death, a second person, known as the kaishakunin, would stand by to decapitate the samurai once the act was completed. This role was considered a great responsibility as it required precision and respect for the ritual. The reasons for performing seppuku were varied but always tied to the preservation of honor. A samurai might choose this path after a significant failure, such as losing a battle or disobeying their lord, to atone for their mistakes and protect their family's reputation. It was also a way to avoid the disgrace of being captured by enemies, as death by one's own hand was seen as far more honorable than falling into the hands of an adversary. In some cases, seppuku was ordered as a form of punishment, but even then, it was carried out with dignity and ritual precision. The cultural values that underpinned seppuku were central to the samurai way of life. Loyalty to one's lord, personal honor, and unwavering discipline were not just ideals but obligations that shaped every aspect of a samurai's existence. Seppuku was the ultimate expression of these values, a final act of devotion to the principles that defined their identity. While the practice may seem extreme by modern standards, it was a deeply meaningful and respected tradition within the context of feudal Japan. As we reflect on the ritual of seppuku, we gain insight into the complex interplay of honor, duty, and sacrifice that characterized samurai culture. This practice, though stark and severe, reveals the profound ways in which cultural values can shape human behavior and define a society's ideals. Moving forward, we'll explore another ancient ritual that continues to captivate and intrigue us with its unique traditions and meanings. Now turning to the Inca Empire, we encounter the ritual of Capacocha, a solemn and deeply spiritual ceremony that involved the sacrifice of children to honor the gods and ensure the prosperity of the empire. This ritual was not an act of cruelty but a profound expression of devotion, rooted in the belief that the gods required the most precious offerings to maintain balance and favor in the world. The children chosen for the Capacocha ceremony were often selected for their exceptional beauty, purity, or noble lineage. These children, sometimes as young as 6 years old, were considered unblemished and sacred, making them ideal messengers to the gods. The selection process was meticulous, and families often viewed the sacrifice as a great honor, believing their child would ascend to a divine status. Before the sacrifice, the children were celebrated and honored in elaborate ceremonies that could last for weeks. They were adorned in fine clothing, given gifts, and fed special foods, symbolizing their transformation into sacred beings. These rituals were accompanied by music, dancing, and prayers, creating a solemn yet celebratory atmosphere. The children were then taken on long journeys to sacred sites, often high in the Andes Mountains, where they would be offered to the gods. The belief behind the Pok-a-Tok ceremony was that these children would become intermediaries between the human world and the divine. Their sacrifice was seen as a way to communicate with the gods, ensuring good harvests, favorable weather, and the continued strength of the empire. The Inca believed that the children did not truly die, but instead joined the gods in a higher realm where they would continue to watch over their people. Archaeological discoveries have provided haunting yet fascinating evidence of this ritual. Mummified remains of children, perfectly preserved by the cold, dry conditions of the Andes, have been found at high-altitude sites. These remains, often accompanied by offerings such as gold figurines, textiles, and pottery, offer a glimpse into the spiritual and cultural significance of the Pok-a-Tok ceremony. The children's serene expressions and carefully arranged bodies suggest that they were treated with reverence and care until the very end. The Pok-a-Tok ceremony reveals the Incas' deep connection to their gods and their willingness to make profound sacrifices for the greater good of their empire. While the practice may seem unsettling to modern sensibilities, it was a deeply meaningful and sacred tradition that reflected the values and beliefs of the Inca civilization. As we move forward, we'll explore another ancient ritual that continues to captivate us with its unique blend of spirituality and tradition. Now turning to the ancient Zoroastrian tradition, we encounter the ritual of sky burial, a practice deeply rooted in the belief that the human body, after death, is impure and must not defile the sacred elements of earth, water, or fire. In Zoroastrianism, fire is considered a symbol of divine purity, and earth and water are seen as life-giving forces. To avoid contaminating these elements, the Zoroastrians developed a unique method of disposing of the dead known as sky burial. The process involved placing the deceased in structures called towers of silence or dakmas. These circular, open-air towers were built on elevated ground, often in remote areas, to ensure that the bodies would not pollute the surrounding environment. The bodies were laid out on stone platforms within the towers, where they were exposed to the elements and scavenging birds, particularly vultures. The vultures would quickly consume the flesh, leaving only the bones, which were then left to dry and disintegrate over time. This practice was not merely a practical solution, but a deeply spiritual one. Zoroastrians believed that the soul, after death, would ascend to the heavens, while the physical body, now devoid of life, was no longer sacred. By allowing the body to be consumed by vultures, they ensured that it returned to nature in the purest way possible without tainting the earth or fire. The towers of silence were considered sacred spaces, and the rituals surrounding death were carried out with great care and reverence. The role of the dakma was central to Zoroastrian funerary practices. Priests known as nasa salars were responsible for overseeing the rituals and ensuring that the bodies were prepared and placed in the towers according to religious guidelines. The process was accompanied by prayers and ceremonies designed to honor the deceased and guide their soul on its journey to the afterlife. The community would gather to mourn and pay their respects, but the actual exposure of the body was a private and solemn act carried out by the priests. However, the practice of sky burial has faced significant challenges in modern times. Urbanization has encroached on the remote locations where towers of silence were traditionally built, and the decline in vulture populations due to environmental factors has made the ritual increasingly difficult to sustain. In some regions, Zoroastrians have had to adapt their practices, turning to alternative methods such as burial in concrete-lined graves to prevent contamination of the earth. Despite these challenges, the Zoroastrian sky burial remains a powerful testament to the religion's reverence for nature and its commitment to maintaining the purity of the elements. It offers a fascinating glimpse into a culture that sought to harmonize its spiritual beliefs with the natural world, even in the face of death. As we move forward, we'll explore another ancient ritual that continues to intrigue us with its unique blend of tradition and spirituality. Now turning to the ancient Polynesian tradition, we encounter the fascinating ritual of shark calling, a practice deeply rooted in the spiritual and cultural fabric of certain Polynesian tribes. This ritual was not merely about hunting or survival, but was a profound expression of the connection between humans and the natural world, particularly the ocean and its most formidable predator, the shark. Shark calling was a highly specialized skill, passed down through generations within specific families or clans. The ritual began with the shark caller, often a revered figure in the community, preparing themselves spiritually and physically for the task. They would enter the ocean armed with nothing more than a small wooden drum and a noose made from coconut fiber. The drum, known as a pate, was used to produce rhythmic beats that were believed to attract sharks. The caller would chant ancient incantations, calling upon the spirits of the ocean and the sharks themselves to come forth. The spiritual connection between the shark caller and the sharks was central to the ritual. Polynesians believed that sharks were not just animals but powerful spiritual beings, often seen as guardians or messengers of the gods. The shark caller's ability to summon these creatures was seen as a divine gift, a sign of their deep spiritual attunement. The ritual was not about domination but about respect and harmony. The caller would approach the shark with reverence, often speaking to it as if it were a fellow being before carefully capturing it with the noose. Sharks held a significant place in Polynesian mythology. They were often associated with gods and ancestors, and their presence was seen as both a blessing and a warning. In some stories, sharks were believed to be the reincarnated spirits of deceased warriors or chiefs, returning to protect their descendants. This belief added a layer of sacredness to the shark calling ritual, as it was not just about obtaining food but about communing with the spiritual realm. However, like many ancient traditions, the practice of shark calling has declined in modern times. The introduction of modern fishing techniques and the influence of Western culture have led to a decrease in the number of shark callers. Additionally, the depletion of shark populations due to overfishing and environmental changes has made the ritual increasingly difficult to perform. Despite these challenges, some communities continue to preserve this ancient practice, seeing it as a vital link to their cultural heritage and spiritual identity. The Polynesian shark calling ritual offers a unique glimpse into a world where humans and nature were deeply intertwined, where the ocean was not just a resource but a sacred space filled with spiritual significance. As we move forward, we'll explore another ancient ritual that continues to captivate us with its blend of tradition, spirituality, and the mysteries of the natural world. Now turning to the African continent, we encounter the striking tradition of lip plates, a practice that has fascinated and puzzled outsiders for centuries. Among tribes like the Mersey and Sama of Ethiopia, lip stretching and the use of lip plates are deeply embedded in cultural identity and beauty standards. This ritual, though visually dramatic, carries profound meaning for those who practice it. The process begins in adolescence, typically around the age of 15 or 16, when a young girl's lower lip is pierced and a small wooden or clay plug is inserted. Over time, larger plates are gradually added, stretching the lip to accommodate increasingly larger discs. These plates, often made from clay or wood, can reach sizes of up to 5 inches or more in diameter. The stretching process is not without pain, but it is seen as a rite of passage, a symbol of maturity and readiness for marriage. For the Mersey and Sama people, lip plates are more than just adornments. They are markers of beauty, identity, and social status. A woman with a large lip plate is considered more attractive and desirable, and the size of the plate can also reflect her family's wealth and standing within the community. In some cases, the plates are worn during special ceremonies or social gatherings, serving as a visual representation of cultural pride and heritage. The tradition is also deeply tied to notions of femininity and strength. The ability to endure the pain of lip stretching is seen as a testament to a woman's resilience and commitment to her cultural identity. For many, the lip plate is a source of empowerment, a way to assert their place within their community and honor their ancestors. Despite the pressures of modernization and globalization, the lip plate tradition has endured. While some younger generations have chosen to forego the practice, many communities continue to uphold it as a vital link to their cultural roots. The persistence of this ritual highlights the resilience of cultural identity in the face of changing times, offering a powerful reminder of the diversity and richness of human traditions. As we move forward, we'll explore another ancient ritual that continues to captivate us with its blend of tradition, spirituality, and the mysteries of the natural world. Now turning to the frosty landscapes of ancient Scandinavia, we encounter the Norse Yule celebrations, a time of feasting, sacrifice, and reverence for the gods. The Yule festival, held during the winter solstice, was one of the most important events in the Norse calendar, marking the darkest time of the year and the eventual return of the sun. Central to these celebrations were rituals designed to honor the gods and ensure a prosperous new year. The Norse people believed that the gods required offerings to maintain their favor, and during Yule, these offerings often took the form of animal sacrifices. Cattle, pigs, and goats were commonly slaughtered, their blood collected and sprinkled on altars, idols, and even the participants themselves as a form of purification. In some cases, human sacrifices were also made, though these were rarer and typically reserved for times of great crisis or to honor particularly powerful deities like Odin, the All-Father. Odin, the god of war, wisdom, and death, played a central role in Yule celebrations. The Norse believed that Odin, accompanied by his wild hunt, rode across the winter skies during this time, and offerings were made to appease him and ensure his protection. The Yule log, a large piece of wood burned throughout the festival, symbolized the light and warmth of the returning sun, while also serving as an offering to the gods. Feasting and drinking were integral to the Yule festivities, with communities coming together to share in the bounty of the harvest and the sacrifices. Mead, a fermented honey drink, flowed freely, and toasts were made to the gods, ancestors, and the spirits of the land. These gatherings were not only a time of celebration, but also a way to strengthen social bonds and reaffirm communal ties. As Christianity spread across Scandinavia, many of these pagan traditions were absorbed into Christian practices, giving rise to the modern celebration of Christmas. The Yule log, for example, became a symbol of Christ's light, while the feasting and gift-giving associated with Yule were incorporated into Christmas festivities. Even the figure of Odin, with his long beard and cloak, may have influenced the modern image of Santa Claus. The blending of pagan and Christian traditions during Yule highlights the adaptability of cultural practices and the ways in which ancient rituals continue to shape our modern world. As we move forward, we'll explore another ancient ritual that bridges the gap between the spiritual and the natural, offering a glimpse into the profound connections our ancestors felt with the world around them. Now turning to the high-altitude regions of Tibet, we encounter the Tibetan Buddhist practice of sky burial, a ritual that reflects a profound connection between life, death, and the natural world. Unlike many burial traditions which seek to preserve or honor the body, sky burial embraces the impermanence of physical form. In this practice, the deceased are dismembered and offered to vultures, seen as sacred beings that carry the soul to the heavens. The belief in impermanence is central to Tibetan Buddhism, and sky burial embodies this philosophy. The body, once the vessel of life, is viewed as an empty shell after death, no longer needed by the soul. By offering it to the vultures, the deceased gives back to nature, completing the cycle of life and death. This act is considered a final act of generosity, or dana, a key Buddhist virtue. The rituals surrounding sky burial are performed by monks and specialized practitioners known as Rogyapas, or body breakers. After a period of prayers and chants to guide the soul, the Rogyapas prepare the body, often cutting it into pieces to make it easier for the vultures to consume. The vultures, revered as sky dakinis or celestial messengers, are believed to carry the soul to the afterlife, ensuring a peaceful transition. this practice also holds significant environmental importance. In the rugged, high-altitude terrain of Tibet, where the ground is often frozen and wood is scarce, traditional burials or cremations are impractical. Sky burial provides a sustainable solution, allowing the body to return to the earth in a way that benefits the ecosystem. The vultures, by consuming the remains, prevent the spread of disease and maintain the delicate balance of the environment. Despite its practicality and spiritual significance, sky burial has faced challenges in modern times. Urbanization, environmental changes, and the decline of vulture populations due to poisoning have threatened the continuity of this ancient ritual. Yet, for many Tibetans, sky burial remains a deeply meaningful practice, a testament to their enduring connection to nature and their spiritual beliefs. As we reflect on this unique ritual, we see how it bridges the gap between the spiritual and the natural, offering a profound perspective on life, death, and the interconnectedness of all things. Moving forward, we'll explore another ancient tradition that continues to shape cultural identity and spiritual practices in remarkable ways. Now turning to the vibrant traditions of the Maori people of New Zealand, we encounter the haka, a powerful war dance that has captivated audiences worldwide. Far more than just a performance, the haka is a deeply spiritual and cultural ritual rooted in the history and identity of the Maori. With its thunderous chants, fierce facial expressions, and synchronized movements, the haka is a display of strength, unity, and ancestral pride. The haka was traditionally performed by Maori warriors before battle, serving as a way to intimidate enemies and invoke the strength of their ancestors. The dancers would stomp their feet, slap their thighs, and rhythmically chant in unison, their eyes wide and tongues protruding in a display of raw energy. These movements were not random but carefully choreographed, each gesture carrying symbolic meaning. The haka was a way to channel the warriors' collective power, uniting them in purpose and resolve. But the haka is not solely a war dance. It also serves as a celebration of Maori identity and heritage. Many haka performances are dedicated to honoring ancestors, commemorating important events, or welcoming distinguished guests. The words of the chant, or waiata, often tell stories of the tribe's history, achievements, and values, ensuring that these traditions are passed down through generations. The haka is a living expression of Maori culture, a way to connect the past with the present. In modern times, the haka has transcended its traditional roots, finding new life in sports, ceremonies, and global performances. The New Zealand national rugby team, the All Blacks, has made the haka famous worldwide, performing it before matches as a symbol of their unity and determination. This adaptation has introduced the haka to millions, showcasing its power and beauty while sparking conversations about cultural appropriation and respect. For the Maori, the haka remains a sacred practice, a reminder of their resilience and the enduring strength of their traditions. As we witness the haka, we are reminded of the profound ways in which rituals can shape identity, inspire unity, and bridge the gap between the past and the present. Moving forward, we'll explore another ancient tradition that continues to influence and inspire in equally remarkable ways. Now turning to the mystical world of ancient Greece, we encounter the Oracle of Delphi, one of the most revered and enigmatic institutions of the ancient world. Nestled on the slopes of Mount Parnassus, the oracle was believed to be the mouthpiece of Apollo, the god of prophecy, music, and healing. For centuries, people from all walks of life, kings, generals, and ordinary citizens journeyed to Delphi seeking guidance from the Pythia, the priestess who served as the oracle. The process of consulting the oracle was anything but simple. Before approaching the Pythia, visitors had to undergo rigorous purification rituals, including bathing in the sacred Castalian spring and offering sacrifices to Apollo. These rites were meant to cleanse both body and spirit, ensuring that the seeker was worthy of divine insight. Once purified, the supplicant would enter the temple where the Pythia, seated on a tripod above a fissure in the earth, would inhale hallucinogenic gases rising from the ground. These vapors, believed to be the breath of Apollo, would induce a trance-like state, allowing the Pythia to channel the god's prophecies. The messages delivered by the oracle were famously cryptic, often requiring interpretation by priests. Despite their ambiguity, these prophecies carried immense weight, influencing decisions that shaped the course of history. Kings sought advice on matters of war and diplomacy, while individuals asked for guidance on personal dilemmas. The oracle's pronouncements were seen as divinely inspired, and ignoring them was considered unthinkable. For example, the oracle famously warned King Croesus of Lydia that if he attacked Persia, a great empire would fall, a prophecy that came true, though not in the way he expected. However, the rise of Christianity in the Roman Empire marked the decline of the Oracle of Delphi. As the new religion spread, the old pagan practices were increasingly viewed as relics of a bygone era. By the 4th century, the temple had fallen into disrepair and the oracle's voice was silenced. Yet, the legacy of Delphi endures. Its influence on Greek culture, philosophy, and even modern notions of prophecy cannot be overstated. The oracle remains a symbol of humanity's eternal quest for knowledge and the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding. As we reflect on the Oracle of Delphi, we are reminded of the profound ways in which ancient rituals sought to bridge the gap between the mortal and the divine. Moving forward, we'll explore another fascinating tradition that continues to captivate and inspire. Now turning to the vibrant world of ancient Mesopotamia, we encounter the Akitu Festival, a grand New Year celebration dedicated to Marduk, the supreme god of Babylon. This 12-day festival, held at the beginning of the spring equinox, was not just a time of revelry but a profound ritual that reaffirmed the cosmic and social order. At its heart was the recitation of the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation myth, which recounted Marduk's rise to power and his victory over chaos. This epic tale was performed to remind the people of their god's supremacy and the stability he brought to the universe. One of the most striking rituals of the Akitu festival was the symbolic humiliation of the king. In a dramatic ceremony, the king would enter the temple of Marduk, where he would be stripped of his royal insignia and forced to kneel before the statue of the god. The high priest would then slap the king's face and pull his ears, a humbling act meant to remind him of his subservience to divine authority. After this ritual, the king would swear an oath of loyalty to Marduk, promising to uphold justice and righteousness in the coming year. Only then would his royal symbols be returned, symbolizing his renewed mandate to rule. The Akitu festival also served as a time of communal renewal. The people of Babylon would participate in processions, feasts, and prayers, celebrating the rebirth of nature and the reaffirmation of their place in the cosmic order. The festival's rituals were designed to ensure the favor of the gods, bringing prosperity and protection to the city and its inhabitants. This ancient tradition not only strengthened the bond between the divine and the mortal, but also reinforced the social hierarchy, reminding everyone of their roles within the community. The influence of the Akitu festival extended far beyond Mesopotamia. Its themes of renewal, divine authority, and cosmic order can be seen in later New Year celebrations across the region, from the Persian Nowruz to the Jewish Rosh Hashanah. Even today, echoes of this ancient ritual can be found in modern festivities that mark the turning of the year. As we explore the Akitu festival, we gain a deeper appreciation for how ancient cultures sought to harmonize their lives with the rhythms of the cosmos, creating traditions that continue to resonate through the ages. Now turning to the vast and ancient landscapes of Australia, we encounter the Aboriginal tradition of the walkabout, a profound rite of passage for young men. This ritual, deeply rooted in the spiritual and cultural fabric of Indigenous Australian communities, marks a transformative journey into the wilderness. For weeks or even months, young men would venture into the untamed outback, living off the land and relying on their knowledge of the environment to survive. This was not merely a test of physical endurance, but a spiritual quest to connect with their ancestral spirits and the land itself, which they believed was alive and sacred. The walkabout served as a crucial initiation into adulthood, teaching young men essential survival skills such as hunting, tracking, and finding water sources. But beyond the practical lessons, it was a time for deep spiritual reflection. As they traveled through the land, they would visit sacred sites, perform rituals, and listen to the stories of their ancestors passed down through generations. These experiences were meant to instill a sense of responsibility, not just for themselves but for their community and the land they called home. The walkabout was a way of ensuring that the wisdom of the past was carried forward, preserving the cultural identity of their people. In modern times, the walkabout has evolved, adapting to the challenges of a changing world. While some indigenous communities continue to practice traditional forms of the ritual, others have incorporated new elements, blending ancient traditions with contemporary life. For many, the walkabout remains a powerful symbol of cultural resilience and a way to reconnect with their heritage in a world that often feels disconnected from the natural and spiritual realms. It serves as a reminder of the enduring strength of indigenous traditions and their ability to adapt while staying true to their roots. As we reflect on the walkabout, we gain a deeper understanding of how ancient rituals can shape identity, foster resilience, and maintain a profound connection to the land and the past. This tradition, like so many others we've explored, offers a window into the values and beliefs of a culture that has thrived for tens of thousands of years, reminding us of the timeless importance of community, spirituality, and respect for the natural world. Now turning to the ancient lands of Persia, we encounter the Zoroastrian practice of fire worship, a ritual that has illuminated the spiritual lives of its followers for thousands of years. In Zoroastrianism, fire is not just a physical element but a sacred symbol of purity, truth, and the divine presence of Ahura Mazda, the supreme god. This reverence for fire is deeply embedded in the religion's core beliefs, where it represents the eternal struggle between light and darkness, good and evil. At the heart of this tradition are the fire temples, where the sacred flames are meticulously maintained by priests. These flames, often referred to as eternal fires, are never allowed to extinguish, symbolizing the unending presence of Ahura Mazda. The rituals performed in these temples are both solemn and awe-inspiring. Priests, clad in white robes to signify purity, tend to the fire with great care, offering sandalwood and other sacred materials to keep it burning brightly. The air is filled with the scent of incense, and the flickering flames cast a warm, golden glow, creating an atmosphere of reverence and devotion. The religious significance of fire in Zoroastrianism cannot be overstated. It is believed that fire has the power to purify and protect, driving away evil spirits and negative energies. This belief is rooted in the teachings of Zoroaster, the prophet who founded the religion, and who emphasized the importance of living in harmony with the natural elements. Fire, as a manifestation of divine energy, serves as a constant reminder of the moral and spiritual duties of the faithful, urging them to uphold truth, justice, and righteousness in their daily lives. Despite the passage of time and the challenges faced by Zoroastrian communities, the tradition of fire worship has endured. Modern Zoroastrians, though fewer in number, continue to honor this ancient practice with unwavering devotion. Fire temples can still be found in regions like Iran and India, where the Parsi community has preserved their heritage. These temples serve as spiritual sanctuaries where the faithful gather to pray, reflect, and reconnect with their ancestral roots. The eternal flames, burning as brightly as ever, stand as a testament to the resilience of a tradition that has withstood the test of time. As we explore the rituals of fire worship, we are reminded of the profound ways in which ancient practices can shape and sustain a community's identity. The Zoroastrian reverence for fire offers a glimpse into a world view where the sacred and the natural are deeply intertwined, and where the pursuit of purity and truth remains a guiding light for generations. Now turning to the vast landscapes of North America, we encounter the Native American Vision Quest, a deeply spiritual ritual that has guided countless individuals in their search for meaning and purpose. This sacred practice, undertaken by many tribes, is a journey of self-discovery where participants seek visions and wisdom from the natural and spiritual worlds. The Vision Quest is not just a physical challenge but a profound spiritual experience that shapes the individual's role within their community. The process of the Vision Quest begins with preparation, often involving fasting, purification, and prayer. The seeker, usually a young person on the cusp of adulthood, retreats to a remote location far from the distractions of daily life. Here, they spend several days in isolation, surrounded by the raw beauty of nature. Without food or water, they rely solely on their inner strength and the guidance of the spirits. This period of solitude and deprivation is designed to strip away the layers of the mundane, allowing the seeker to connect deeply with their inner self and the spiritual realm. During this time, the seeker waits for a vision or dream, which is believed to come from the spirits or the Great Mystery. These visions are not random, but are seen as messages that reveal the seeker's purpose, strengths, and path in life. The content of the vision is often symbolic, requiring interpretation by tribal elders or spiritual leaders. Once understood, it becomes a guiding force, shaping the individual's actions, decisions, and contributions to the tribe. The Vision Quest is thus a rite of passage, marking the transition from youth to adulthood and from uncertainty to clarity. The cultural importance of the Vision Quest cannot be overstated. In many Native American traditions, dreams and visions are seen as powerful tools for understanding the world and one's place within it. They are believed to offer insights into the past, present, and future, connecting the individual to their ancestors and the spiritual forces that govern the universe. The Vision Quest reinforces the idea that every person has a unique role to play in the community, and that this role is revealed through spiritual communion. Even today, the Vision Quest continues to be practiced by many Native American tribes, serving as a means of spiritual renewal and cultural preservation. Modern seekers, whether native or non-native, often undertake this ritual to reconnect with nature, find clarity in their lives, and honor the wisdom of indigenous traditions. The enduring relevance of the Vision Quest speaks to its profound ability to address universal human needs for guidance, purpose, and a deeper connection to the world around us. As we reflect on this ancient ritual, we are reminded of the timeless power of solitude, introspection, and the natural world to transform and enlighten. The Vision Quest offers a window into a world view where the spiritual and the physical are inseparable, and where the journey inward is as important as the journey outward. Now turning to the banks of the Nile, we explore one of the most iconic rituals of ancient Egypt, the weighing of the heart. This sacred ceremony was a pivotal moment in the journey to the afterlife, where the soul's fate was determined by the gods. Central to this ritual was the belief that the heart, considered the seat of thought, emotion, and morality, would be weighed against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth and justice. If the heart was lighter than the feather, it meant the deceased had lived a life of virtue and balance, and they were granted eternal peace in the afterlife. However, if the heart was heavier, weighed down by wrongdoing, it would be devoured by the fearsome creature Ammit, condemning the soul to oblivion. The ritual itself was a dramatic and symbolic event, presided over by the jackal-headed god Anubis, the guardian of the dead. Anubis would carefully place the heart on one side of the scales, while the feather of Maat rested on the other. Watching over this process was Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom and writing, who meticulously recorded the results. The presence of these deities underscored the importance of truth, justice, and divine order in Egyptian cosmology. The weighing of the heart was not just a test of morality, but a reaffirmation of the values that held Egyptian society together. For the ancient Egyptians, this ritual was more than a spiritual judgment. It was a reflection of their deepest beliefs about life, death, and the afterlife. The heart, as the essence of a person's character, had to be free from sin and deceit to pass the test. This belief encouraged individuals to live righteously, adhering to the principles of Maat, which included truth, harmony, and balance. The ritual also reinforced the idea that the afterlife was a continuation of earthly existence, where one's actions in life had eternal consequences. The cultural significance of the weighing of the heart extended beyond the individual to the broader society. It served as a reminder that justice was not just a human construct but a divine mandate overseen by the gods themselves. This belief in a just and orderly afterlife provided comfort to the living, assuring them that their deeds would be judged fairly and that a righteous life would be rewarded. The ritual also highlighted the Egyptians' meticulous preparation for death, from the preservation of the body through mummification to the inclusion of spells and amulets in tombs to aid the deceased in their journey. As we reflect on this ancient ritual, we are struck by its enduring symbolism and the universal themes it embodies. The weighing of the heart speaks to the human desire for justice, the hope for redemption, and the belief in a moral order that transcends life itself. It offers a glimpse into a civilization that saw death not as an end but as a gateway to a new beginning, where the soul's worth was measured not by wealth or power but by the purity of the heart. Now turning to the heart of ancient Rome, we uncover the fascinating and sacred role of the Vestal Virgins, priestesses dedicated to Vesta, the goddess of the hearth. These women were not just religious figures but central to the spiritual and political fabric of Roman society. Their primary duty was to maintain the sacred fire of Vesta, which symbolized the eternal life and stability of Rome. This fire was never allowed to go out, as its extinguishment was believed to bring disaster upon the city. The Vestals also performed rituals and ceremonies to ensure the prosperity and protection of Rome, making them indispensable to the empire's well-being. The selection of a Vestal Virgin was a highly prestigious and rigorous process. Girls between the ages of 6 and 10, often from noble families, were chosen to serve for a period of 30 years. During this time, they took a vow of chastity, dedicating themselves entirely to the goddess and the state. Breaking this vow was considered a grave offense, not just against the goddess but against Rome itself. The punishment for such a transgression was severe, being buried alive, as the Romans believed it was forbidden to shed the blood of a Vestal. This harsh penalty underscored the sacred trust placed in these women and the high stakes of their role. Beyond their religious duties, the Vestal Virgins held significant cultural and political influence. They were among the few women in Roman society who could own property, make wills, and vote. Their presence was required at important state ceremonies, and they often acted as intermediaries between the gods and the Roman people. Their purity and devotion were seen as essential to maintaining the favor of the gods, and their role extended into the realm of diplomacy. For instance, they safeguarded important state documents and treaties, further cementing their importance in Roman governance. The Vestals' unique position also made them symbols of Rome's moral and spiritual integrity. Their chastity was not just a personal vow but a reflection of the city's purity and divine favor. The rituals they performed, such as the preparation of sacred grain for religious festivals, were believed to ensure the fertility of the land and the prosperity of the people. Their lives were a blend of rigorous discipline and profound reverence, embodying the ideals of Roman piety and duty. As we reflect on the Vestal Virgins, we see how their role transcended mere religious service. They were guardians of Rome's spiritual and political heart, their lives intertwined with the fate of the empire. Their story offers a glimpse into a society where religion and governance were deeply connected, and where the actions of a few could shape the destiny of many. The Vestals remind us of the power of faith, discipline, and the enduring legacy of those who dedicate their lives to a higher purpose. Now turning to the conclusion of our journey through 25 bizarre rituals from ancient cultures, we find ourselves reflecting on the incredible diversity and depth of human tradition. From the Mayan ball game sacrifices to the Roman Vestal virgins, each ritual offers a unique window into the beliefs, values, and fears of the people who practice them. These rituals, though often strange or even shocking to modern sensibilities, were deeply meaningful to those who performed them, serving as vital connections to the divine, the natural world, and the community. These ancient practices remind us that human history is rich with creativity, spirituality, and a profound desire to make sense of the world. Whether it was the Aztec sacrifices to Huitzilopochtli, the Viking Blood Eagle, or the Greek Eleusinian Mysteries, each ritual was a way to honor the gods, ensure prosperity, or mark important transitions in life. They reveal the universal human need to find meaning, even in the face of the unknown. As we close this exploration, we invite you to share your thoughts. Which of these rituals did you find most intriguing or surprising? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through ancient history and mythology, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating insights into the past. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update, and give this video a like if you found it as captivating as we did. Thank you for joining us on this adventure through time and tradition. Until next time, keep exploring the mysteries of our world.